If you're watching this right now and you feel like your life is falling apart, if you feel shattered on the inside, if you've been telling yourself this is the end, that you've messed up too badly, that nothing good can come from the pain you're in, let me speak straight to your soul. This is not the end of your story. You may feel like you're at rock bottom. You may feel like everything has been stripped from you. You may be tired of pretending you're okay, but let me tell you, something holy, something sacred, something true. God does not throw away broken people. He builds with them. He chooses them. He loves them right there, in the mess, in the chaos, in the storm. You see, we live in a world that teaches us to hide our pain, to filter our wounds, to cover up our scars, but God doesn't need your perfection. He needs your surrender, because the moment you feel like you're breaking is the very moment something new can begin. Sometimes it takes a breakdown to lead to a breakthrough. Sometimes you have to be emptied before you can be filled. Sometimes what looks like an ending is actually the beginning of becoming who you really are. Becoming who you were created to be, becoming whole, not perfect, but healed, not flawless, but free. You are not beyond redemption. You are not too far gone. Your pain does not disqualify you. Your brokenness does not cancel your purpose. God specializes in broken vessels. He turns ashes into beauty, tears into testimony, graves into gardens. You don't have to fix yourself before He uses you. He wants to use you right here in the middle of the wreckage, while you're still figuring it out, while you're still hurting, while you're still bleeding, because when God steps into your brokenness, He doesn't just repair it, He rebuilds it into something greater. Think about it, the most powerful people in history, the ones who touched lives, who changed the world, they didn't come from easy paths. They came from pain, from trials, from brokenness. Moses was a murderer. David was an adulterer. Peter denied Jesus. Paul persecuted Christians, and yet God used them all. He met them in their lowest moment and lifted them higher than they ever imagined. Why? Because your brokenness is not the end, it's the beginning of becoming. And you, yes, you who thinks it's over, you who's exhausted, you who has been thinking about giving up, you are still here, still breathing, still standing, which means God is not done with you. You may have been broken by others, you may have broken your own heart, but there is a God who sees every shattered piece, and He doesn't walk away. He picks them up one by one and begins to create something new, something holy, something powerful. And when He's finished, you won't look like the person who was broken. You'll look like someone who survived, someone who carries strength, someone who carries wisdom, someone who carries lights. Don't end your story now. Don't give up before the miracle happens. Don't let the pain speak louder than the promise. You are not alone, you are not forgotten, and you are not done. This is not the end, this is the beginning of becoming. Becoming whole, becoming strong, becoming who God created you to be. So get up, even if it's messy, even if it hurts, even if you have to crawl, get up. Because broken does not mean worthless, it means you're ready to be rebuilt. And God, He is the master builder, and He still has a plan for you. If you're watching this and your world feels like it's falling apart, if the storm around you is so loud that you can't even hear your own thoughts, if you're tired of pretending you're okay, if you're secretly wondering whether your life even matters, I want you to hear me, really hear me. God does His deepest work in the darkest storms. You may feel like you're drowning, like everything you've built is being washed away, like the waves are stronger than your strength, but I need you to know, just because you're in a storm doesn't mean God has left you. In fact, it means He's right there with you, doing His most powerful work, not when everything is calm, but when everything is chaos, because storms strip away the noise, they break Down the walls they leave you with nothing to lean on but Him, and maybe that's exactly where healing begins, when your strength ends, when your plans fall apart. When you're too broken to pretend, that's where God steps in. He doesn't wait for perfect. He doesn't need performance. He meets you in the storm, in the dark, in the pain, in the confusion, and He begins to work not on the outside, but on the inside, because storms don't come to destroy you, they come to reveal you. They show you who you really are, and more importantly, they show you who God really is. You see, we don't grow in comfort, we grow in the rain, in the storm, in the fight, when we're forced to confront who we are and who we've been depending on. And I know right now it hurts. Right now it feels like you're losing everything, but sometimes God has to let certain things fall apart, so He can rebuild you on something stronger, something eternal, something real. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. You are not forgotten, you are being formed. Because when God is silent, He's often working the loudest. When you can't see Him, that's when He's planting the deepest roots. When you feel lost, He's actually leading you somewhere sacred, somewhere new. So don't believe the lie that your life is over. Don't believe the voice that tells you to give up. You may be in a storm, but the storm is not your ending. It's your awakening, it's your transformation, it's where your faith becomes real, where your character is refined, where your purpose is reborn. And let me tell you, some of the greatest people in the Bible met God in storms. Jonah was in the belly of a fish, Daniel was in the lion's den, Job was in ashes, even Jesus was in the storm on the sea. And every time God didn't run away, He stepped in and turned the storm into a stage for His glory. He's doing the same for you. Even if you can't feel it, even if it hurts, even if you're barely holding on, hold on anyway. Stay in the fight. Don't waste this storm. Don't quit now. You're closer than you think, because after this storm you won't be the same. You'll be stronger, you'll be deeper. You'll have something inside you that can't be shaken. You'll carry wisdom, you'll carry faith, you'll carry fire. So let the storm rage, let the rain fall, because what God is doing in you will last longer than the storm ever could. This is not the end of your story. This is the part where everything shifts, where God reaches into your darkness and creates something beautiful. So breathe, take one more step, and trust this. God does His deepest work in the darkest storms, and He's not finished with you yet. There are moments in life when the pain feels unbearable, when the storm you're walking through makes you feel like you're being punished, when everything you thought was stable is shaking, and it's easy to ask God, why me, why now, why this? But what if I told you that this storm, the one that has you questioning everything, the one that's testing your faith, is actually the answer to a prayer you once whispered in desperation? You prayed for strength, you prayed for purpose, you prayed for something greater, and now you're in the middle of the process God is using to build it, because strength is not built in ease, strength is built in pressure, in resistance, in struggle. It's built in the storm, and even though you may not see it yet, you are being stretched, shaped, forged into someone stronger than you've ever been. You see, everyone wants to be strong, everyone wants to have purpose, but no one wants the pain that produces it. We want strength without strain, growth without resistance, breakthrough without the breaking, but that's not how God works, because what He's building in you is not surface level strength, it's not fake confidence, it's real, tested, unshakable endurance. You are not going through this storm for nothing. God is using every tear, every disappointment, every lonely night, every silent prayer, to build something in you that comfort never could. He's building emotional endurance. spiritual maturity, mental resilience, and a kind of inner fire that can't be put out. The storm you're in right now is your classroom. It's your training ground. It's preparing you for battles you don't even know are coming. It's preparing you to carry what you've been called to carry, because big callings require big character, and big character is born in the fire. So if you feel like giving up, don't. If you feel weak, that's okay, because weakness is where God shows up the strongest. If you feel like nothing is working, let me remind you, just because you don't see the results doesn't mean the process isn't working. The seed doesn't grow overnight. The foundation isn't seen, but it's what holds up the whole building. This storm, this pain, this pressure, it is not your ending, it is your beginning. God is not trying to destroy you, He is training you, developing in you the strength you prayed for on your knees. He's building a version of you that can handle the weight of the calling, that can carry others, that can walk through fire and not be burned on. Maybe, just maybe, this is the most important chapter of your life. Not the one where everything went right, but the one where everything fell apart, and you still didn't quit. You still showed up. You still believed. You still pressed forward when your flesh told you to walk away. That's strength. That's courage. That's faith in action, and that's what the storm is producing in you. So, instead of asking, when will it end? Ask God, what are you building in me through this? Instead of trying to escape it, ask for the grace to endure it. Because the person you are becoming will thank you for not quitting. And hear this, the storm won't last forever. It never does, but the strength, the growth, the fire God is building in you, that will last for a lifetime. So hold on, don't waste this storm, don't waste the pain. Use it, let it sharpen you, let it wake up the warrior in you, let it break the fear, let it push you into purpose, because the storm, there are parts of your story you don't talk about. Parts you've buried under a smile, parts you pray no one ever finds out, not because you're fake, but because you're afraid that if people saw the real you, they'd leave. That if God saw the real you, He'd change His mind. But here's the truth. God already sees every piece of you, the ones you celebrate and the ones you regret. The pieces that are polished and picture perfect, and the ones that are messy, ashamed, wounded, and raw. And still, He calls you chosen, not tolerated, not overlooked, not disqualified. Chosen. He saw the betrayal and still chose you. He saw the failure and still marked you. He saw the addiction and still called you. He saw the anxiety, the insecurity, the depression, and said, that one, that's mine. Because God doesn't choose like people do. People choose based on perfection. God chooses based on purpose. People see your flaws and disqualify you. God sees your flaws and says, now I can use you, because it's not about your performance, it's about your position as His child. And your brokenness doesn't scare Him, it draws Him closer. He is not surprised by your weakness. He's not shocked by your mistakes. He's not turned away by your past. In fact, it's those exact places, the hidden places, the buried places, that He wants to touch, to heal, to restore you. May think God wants a perfect version of you, but He wants the real you, the you that's still healing, still hurting, still growing, still doubting, because only the real you can carry real purpose. Truth is, the pieces you're hiding are the places He wants to use, because your wounds become your witness. Your mess becomes your message, and your scars become the evidence that grace is real, that redemption is possible, that God still uses broken people to do beautiful things. So, stop hiding, stop disqualifying yourself, stop thinking your past cancels your calling. It doesn't. Your failure didn't surprise God. It's factored into your future. Your weakness isn't a wall. It's a doorway for His strength, and the shame you feel, it doesn't come from Him. It comes from the enemy, because the devil knows something about you that you've forgotten you're still chosen. And when you start believing that everything changes, you stop running, you stop performing, you stop pretending, and you start healing, because when you realize God sees the worst of you and still chooses to stay still, chooses to love, still chooses to use you, that's when the shame loses its grip. That's when the guilt begins to break. That's when you stop striving for approval and start walking in identities. So this is your reminder. Your past doesn't disqualify you. Your hidden pain doesn't make you unusable. God sees the pieces you hide, and He still calls you chosen. So stand up, wipe the tears. Lift your head. You're not rejected. You're not forgotten. You're not too far gone. You are seen. You are loved. You are called, and you are chosen, just as you are, right where you are, with nothing to prove and everything to receive, because the King of Heaven, the one who knows every piece of you, still calls you His own. Pain has a voice, and it speaks loudest when no one else is listening. It speaks in the silence of your room, in the tears no one sees, in the ache that won't go away. Pain remembers what was done, it replays what was lost, it whispers what could have been, and when left unattended, pain doesn't stay silent. It starts to speak bitterness, bitterness at the people who hurt you, bitterness at the timing that never made sense, bitterness at the dreams that died too young, bitterness at God for allowing it all to happen. But here's the truth: pain is not the enemy. Bitterness is pain is the alarm that something inside needs attention. It tells the truth about what matters. It tells the truth about what was broken. But bitterness takes the pain and turns it into poison. It makes you build walls instead of bridges. It makes you hide when you were born to shine. It convinces you that guarding your heart means shutting it down completely. It tells you never trust, never love, never try again. But your pain doesn't have to speak bitterness. It can speak purpose. It can tell a story of survival. It can sing a song of strength. It can become a light for someone else still walking through the dark. You get to choose what your pain will become. It can either become the reason you stay stuck, or the reason you rise, because pain is a voice, but it's also a tool. It can dig a grave, or it can dig a foundation. It can chain you to the past, or launch you into your future. And the difference is what you do with it. You can use it to stay angry, or you can use it to get free. You can let it make you hard, or you can let it make you holy. You see, some of the most powerful people on this planet aren't the ones who had perfect lives. They're the ones who bled, who wept, who lost, who nearly broke, but refused to let the bitterness take over. They turned their wounds into weapons, their scars into songs, their heartbreak into healing. They let pain speak, but they gave it new words. They let it speak purpose, and you can do the same. You may have been rejected, but now you know how to welcome others. You may have been abandoned, but now you know how to stay. You may have been silenced, but now you carry a voice that shatters chains. That's the power of pain with purpose. It becomes a ministry. It becomes a movement. It becomes a message to a broken world that says, I've been through hell and I'm still standing. And if I made it, so can you. So don't silence your pain, and don't let it speak bitterness. Give it to God. Let Him heal it. Let Him reshape it. Let Him turn it into something beautiful. Because you don't need to hide what hurt you. You need to hand it over so it can help someone else. That's how pain becomes power. That's how tears become testimony. That's how storms become stories that set other people free. Pain has a voice, and today you get to choose what it will say. Let it speak healing. Let it speak truth. Let it speak resurrection. Let it speak purpose. The storm you're in right now, the one that feels like it's tearing your life apart, the one that came without warning, That storm has not changed who God is, and it hasn't cancelled who you are even. In the storm, God is still God, and you are still called. You may not feel strong, you may not feel chosen, you may not feel anything at all. But feelings don't define calling, storms don't erase identity. And silence from heaven does not mean you've been forgotten. You see, God is not just God when the sun is shining, He's not just God when prayers are answered quickly. He is God when the sky turns black, when the thunder crashes, when the answers don't come. He's God in the valley, He's God in the heartbreak, He's God in the sleepless nights, and He is God right now. The storm doesn't shake Him, it reveals Him. It shows you a side of Him you never knew you needed, because anyone can praise Him in peace, but real faith is forged in the storm. And, while the storm may be loud, your calling is louder. Because God didn't change His mind about you when life got hard, He didn't withdraw His hand when you made a mistake. He didn't rewrite your future when your past got messy. You are still called to rise, called to speak, called to heal, called to love, called to carry something holy even when your hands are trembling. And maybe this storm, this pain, this pressure is not proof that you're off track. Maybe it's the very place your calling is being refined. Maybe the version of you that will walk in power has to be forged in fire. Maybe the clarity you've been begging for only comes when everything else is stripped away, when it's just you and God and the storm. So don't confuse the silence with absence, don't confuse the pain with punishment, don't confuse the storm with disqualification, because storms don't stop God from being God, and storms don't stop you from being called. He still sees you, still knows you, still believes in the purpose He placed inside of you before the foundation of the world, and no storm, no trauma, no betrayal, no delay can cancel what He has spoken over your life. You are still the one He chose, still the one He loves, still the one He will use, and the storm, that storm is temporary. But what He's doing in you through it is eternal. So take heart, even in the wind, even in the confusion, even when you feel unworthy. Your name is still written on His hands, your calling is still alive, and His Spirit is still within you. You don't need to have it all together, you just need to hold on, to keep showing up, to keep trusting the one who calms seas with a word, and walks on water just to reach you. Because He hasn't changed, and neither has His call on your life, even in the storm. God is still God, and you are still called. You may not feel it right now. You may feel like this pain will never leave, like the pieces of your life are too scattered to ever be whole again. Like you've lost too much, failed too deeply, cried too long. But hear this truth, you will rise from this not as the same person, not as who you were before the storm, but as someone stronger, someone deeper. Someone refined by the fire that tried to consume you, because pain changes you, loss changes you, betrayal changes you, but if you let God have the broken pieces, He will build something out of you that could never have been formed and conform you. See, strength doesn't come from easy seasons, it's forged in the hardest places. The valleys, the battles, the nights when you had nothing left but faith the size of a whisper, and even then you didn't quit. Even when you thought you had nothing left, you kept showing up, and that is what strength looks like. It's not loud, it's not always pretty, it's not about winning every day. It's about not giving up when giving up feels like the easier option. You might walk with a limp now, you might carry scars. You might cry more than you used to, but none of that means you're weak. It means you survived. It means you faced the fire, and you didn't let it burn you down. You let it burn off what you never needed. You are not who you were before this storm, and you're not supposed to be, because what nearly broke you is what's now building you. stronger, wiser, braver. Learning to speak softer and love deeper. You're learning that boundaries are holy, that self-worth is sacred, that healing is holy work, and that God never wastes pain. He uses it to wake us up, to clean us out, to set us free. So yes, it hurts, but it's also holy. Yes, it broke you, but it's also rebuilding you into someone who can't be easily shaken. God isn't just restoring you, He's reshaping you. Not back into who you were, but into who you're meant to become, and that version of you, that post-storm version, will be stronger than anything that tried to destroy you. So don't fear the change, don't grieve the old, you celebrate what's growing in you now, because through every tear, through every silence, through every night, you thought you wouldn't make it, God was working beneath the surface, deep in your soul, and what He's doing in you is stronger than what came against you. So yes, you will rise, you will laugh again, you will breathe again, you will love again, but when you do, it won't be as the same person, it will be as someone reborn. You're not rising in spite of the storm. You're rising because of it. So lift your head, even if it still aches. Take another step, even if your legs still shake. Speak again, even if your voice still trembles, because rising doesn't have to look perfect, it just has to be real. And this rise, this time, will mean more than anything before, because it cost you everything, but it gave you back you, the real you, the healed you, the bold you, the strong you. You will rise from this, not the same, but stronger, and when you do, you'll thank God, not just for the strength, but for the storm, because it didn't bury you, it built you.